Brisket, the crown jewel of barbecue. Traditionally, a brisket is cooked low and slow over hours or sometimes even days to achieve that perfect balance of tender, smoky goodness. But today, I decided to challenge tradition, to dare the impossible. I asked myself, can an air fryer handle a brisket? Spoiler alert, it can't. But let's see how it all went down. Now I started with this beauty right here, a nice small but hefty cut of brisket. The brisket comes from a lower chest of the cow and it's located beneath the first 5 ribs. Traditionally it's cooked low and slow, and this helps break down its tough connective tissues, making it very tender and flavorful. Now briskets can be very tricky to cook because you're dealing with 2 cuts of meat in one. On one end you have the point, which has a lot more of the fat and marbling on the inside, and on the other side you have the flat, which has a nice fat cap on the top, but for the most part on the inside it's very lean and has little to no marbling. And as I trimmed away the excess fat, I couldn't help but think of the barbecue greats who would probably shun me if they knew what I was about to do. But hey, cooking is science, and I am a scientist. Now trimming a brisket is a labor of love. It's where you decide how much fat cap to leave on, how much silver skin to remove, and as I worked, I convinced myself maybe this air fryer brisket could be a game changer. Maybe I'll reinvent barbecue as we know it. Oh, how naive I was. Next came the binder. I opted for Worcestershire Sauce partly because it's a classic, and also, since we're not going to be using a smoker for this brisket, I wanted to make sure we had as much barbecue flavor on it as possible. And as I brushed it on, the rich, savory aroma gave me a glimmer of hope that this could work, and this would give me awards and medals and just be revolutionary to the barbecue community. And then for the rub, we're going to be using How to Barbecue Right's Malcolm Reed's barbecue rub. This is bold and it's packed with a ton of flavor, and we're going to make sure that we cover every inch of this brisket so that way it looks like it's going to be on the cover of a barbecue magazine. The seasoning clung to the Worcestershire sauce beautifully, and for a moment, I felt like a pitmaster. Until I remembered the air fryer that's sitting ominously in the corner. And then it was time. Into the air fryer it went. Now this was no small feat. Squeezing a brisket into the air fryer feels like you're trying to stuff a mattress into a suitcase, but with all the trimming of the fat and some of the extra cuts that we made to make it fit, it was able to fit inside the air fryer. So I went ahead and set the timer, inserted my probe, crossed my fingers and waited for this magic to happen. And at first, things were looking promising. A crust began to form, it looked dark and rich and inviting. I started thinking, hey, maybe I'm onto something. Maybe the air fryer is the future of barbecue. But deep down, I knew brisket isn't just about looks. After achieving the crust, it was time for phase 2, which is wrapping it in foil. Now I know this is an air fryer video, but my air fryer only goes up to 59 minutes per cook, and I didn't feel like staying up all night making sure the timer didn't reach the end and resetting it back to 59 minutes. And I also think the air fryer did a wonderful job at getting our crust, so we're gonna go ahead and pass the baton to a 225 degree preheated oven, and we're gonna place our wrapped brisket inside until it reaches 205 degrees Fahrenheit, or until it's probe tender with a thermometer. Now when I unwrapped it, I'll admit, it looked wonderful. The juices were glistening, and the crust held up, and for a split second I thought, this might actually work. But brisket doesn't just reveal its secrets at first glance. The real test, we have to cut into it. And as I sliced through, it became very clear that the brisket was not as I had hoped for. Sure, the crust was there, but the inside, it looked kind of dry, it looked tough, and it was really missing that melt in your mouth magic that makes a brisket a brisket. But with all that aside, we're gonna go ahead and give this a taste test and see how we did. Alright everybody, here we have our beautifully air fried brisket. You saw the process. We trimmed it up, seasoned it up, and we stuck it in the air fryer until it got a nice crust on the outside. And then we went ahead and finished it in the oven just because we did have to get some rest. But overall, most of this was cooked inside of the air fryer. I think about 3 hours or 4 hours was cooked inside the air fryer, and then we just finished it off in the oven just because I have to get some sleep. So we're gonna go ahead and give this a taste, see how it is, and see if it's better than a traditional oven. I know it's not gonna be better than a smoked brisket because smoking is the best, but let's go ahead and give this a try. Does need a little bit of salt. It's very good. Give me a fatty piece.
A little bit. I started choking on the way.
I will say one thing. I would adjust the times cooking these because this was a smaller cut of the brisket. Normally, whenever you have those bigger cuts, it can be more forgiving whenever you're cooking it, just because the piece of meat is so big, it's gonna take a lot longer to cook. With this one, since it was so small, it cooked a little bit faster than what I was used to. And also, since I think most of this is the flat part of the brisket, there are parts where it is a little bit more dry than the other. Parts where the fat cap is, they're not too dry, but definitely the parts that weren't very close, those did get dried up a little bit and it did take a little bit to chew. But overall, flavor's good, texture good, everything's good. So if you liked anything you saw here in the video today, let me know by leaving a like and a comment down on the video. If you're new here, subscribe down to the channel and don't forget to get that bell notification on so you can be notified anytime that I post. I thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Stay saucy.